All right, everyone. Last week, we covered the importance of dana and the qualities of giving with respect to the giver. Okay, let's do a very quick revision for what we learned for the giver. First, we learned to give with the right motivation and right attitude. And as the Buddha said, we give wherever the mind feels inspired. And we maintain a good mental state before, during, and after giving. Do not expect anything in return. However, the natural tendency is for us to expect something in return. Very difficult to be completely selfless in every act of giving. But we just keep giving, nevertheless, because with right view, we slowly cultivate true generosity, where giving gives us joy and a sense of fulfillment. The purer the motivation, the more the merit. Can you remember what's the best motivation? It's the one that ennobles the mind, that purifies the mind. So every time when you give, okay, to especially the Sangha, so what you should have, say silently to yourself, may this ennoble my mind. Okay, you can still perform dana even if the gift is not yours. Now, we can exercise appreciative joy, and rejoicing in the merit earned by others is itself a meritorious deed. So usually what I do when I see people presenting to Sangha members, I will stand by, and every time when I see somebody presenting a gift to him, I will go silently, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It's appreciative joy. Okay, now we are going to look at dana with respect to the gift. When are we most willing to give or can afford to give more? Bonus time, right? Either at the beginning or the end of the year. Now that is when we donate to our favorite charities, the monasteries, and even our alma mater. Cash donations are usually the first thing people think of, but we can also give in other forms. Gifts can include food, clothes, shelter, and medicine, not only to the Sangha, but also to those who need them, including animals. Does our gift have to be material? No, we can also give in terms of our time, knowledge, and skills to help others, like cleaning up a public place, example, neighborhood park, entertaining residents in an old folks' home, participating in overseas relief operations, and missions to build schools, dig wells, and provide free medical and dental care in third world countries. Now, even simple things like helping a weaker student with his homework, or just literally giving a helping hand, they are all forms of dana. Next, gifts should be given at a suitable time. First, to a visitor. Now, the Pali word for visitor has also been translated as newcomer or traveler. And this usually indicates hospitality for Sangha as well as lay people. Now, for lay people, they include helping new families from overseas, foreign students, okay, helping them to settle down in our home country. One who's setting out on a journey. That means a person can be going away like your domestic helper after working for you, and she goes back home either for home leave or permanently. How can you help this person? Okay, usually we give them a good bonus, right? What is this amount of money to you is very much more to them. And it is a good gift to give them, yes? Thirdly, to somebody who is ill, one living a time of famine. For these people, we usually give food and medicine. And lastly, to a virtuous person, in particular, the Sangha. Now, when we give, you have to remember a few things. First, be considerate. Take the trouble to find out what the monk or nun can or cannot eat, especially if they have a medical problem. Bear this in mind, okay? Don't try to give them food that will make their medical condition worse. Secondly, be respectful. Now, in this age and time, we can afford to buy food or especially prepare the food for the monks and nuns, right? Please do not give them your leftovers. I'm quite sure this doesn't happen now. But we Singaporeans tend to swing to the other extreme. We want to give the Sangha our favorite food because to us, this is sincerity. I give to you what I like the most. But think about this. What is your favorite food? Does anyone here love salad? Or better still, salad without salad dressing? Okay, I'm very sure amongst you there'll be people whose favorite food is chicken rice, chili crab, pork belly. Okay, all these are unhealthy food. Generally, the best tasting food are the ones that are really unhealthy. But we have to bear in mind that the purpose of almsgiving is to keep the monks alive so they can spread Dharma. We may keep them alive with your favorite food for that day, but we are actually shortening their overall lifespan. So lastly, we try not to be over-indulgent. Anything useful, however small, can be a gift. And it does not necessarily have to be a big amount. A poor person who ekes out a living but still makes it a point to give from what little he has earned has performed an act of giving worth much more than someone who is extremely wealthy but gives sparingly. But it also doesn't mean that if you are rich, you have to give a lot to make the act of giving worthwhile. So for example, you go out for a walk and then you see a beggar with no shoes. Most of the time, you don't see such things in Singapore, but let's say, then you give away your favorite flip-flops, which are old and worn but comfortable. In this instance, you have done a very generous act of self-sacrifice with this timely gift. Now, the Buddha spoke this verse. Speak truth and be not angry, from little gift to one who asks. By these conditions 3 to go unto the presence of the gods. Now, he said this with reference to a question raised by Moggallana. For those who are new, okay, the Buddha has a right-hand man called Sariputta and a left-hand man called Moggallana. Sariputta is second only to the Buddha in wisdom, and Moggallana is second only to the Buddha in psychic powers. And Moggallana had visited one of the heavenly realms, and then he asked some devas there about a good deed that each of them had done to give them that rebirth in heaven. Now, on the subject of giving, the answer was that they had offered little things like a stick of sugar, sugar cane, a fruit, or some vegetables to a monk or to someone else. So from here, we can see that we don't have to give a lot. What if no one needs our help? Somewhere, someone out there will always need our help. We just have to observe and see where help is needed. We may see that someone is overworked or overstretched in what they are doing, and we keep our eyes open for the opportunity to make a gesture of giving. Even at home, the chances for giving are always there. For example, you offer to buy groceries, help with the housework, change the lights if needed, or give your aged parents a back massage. That's also dana. Now, this represents our gift, big or small, material or immaterial. But what is hidden and has a much more significant impact is the intention that carries the motivation to give. So the popular proverb is the thoughts that counts always holds true. Okay, what other gifts are worthy? Now there are 5 gifts which the Buddha describes as primal, that means of primary importance. That's traditional, ancient, and pure. Gifts which have been held in high esteem throughout the ages. For those who have never seen Dana, okay, this Dhamma bites, can you guess what it is? The 5 precepts. Okay, these gifts are the meticulous observance of the 5 precepts: to abstain from killing, taking what's not yours, sexual misconduct, false speech, and intoxicants that cause heedlessness. By observing our precepts, we give trust, security, and freedom from fear and grief to others. So, is this the most valuable gift? Since the Buddha, okay, holds it in high regard. Let's see, yeah. The Buddha also said this: there are these 2 kinds of gifts, a gift of material things and a gift of the Dharma. Of the 2, this is supreme, a gift of the Dharma. There are these 2 kinds of sharing: sharing of material things and sharing of the Dharma. Of the 2, this is supreme, sharing of the Dharma. And there are these 2 kinds of assistance: assistance with material things and assistance with the Dharma. Of the 2, this is supreme, assistance with the Dharma. Okay, in fact, these 3 aspects, the gift of Dharma, sharing of Dharma, assistance of Dharma, they all mean the same thing. They all involve learning and practice of Dharma. And it can be, for example, the sharing of Dharma knowledge or helping others with meditation. Now, next, Dharma can be shared in other ways too. Sometimes a person may require counsel or consolation for a variety of reasons. Now, the more serious ones being the death of a loved one, loss of health, like maybe a person becomes chronically ill, it's not as healthy as before. It can even be a terminal illness, can be a heartbreak, a miscarriage. Now, this loss of earnings can be a person who's sacked, retrenched, or maybe lost a lot of money in shares and stocks, or got deceived. You know, now there are a lot of scams going around, and loss of success and fame. You will notice that in all these situations, there is a one thing that's not satisfied. For example, you don't want, okay, the person to die. You want your health back. You want the person to love you always. You don't want the miscarriage. Okay, you want to keep your job, you want to keep your money, you want your success and fame. That's why you have the word loss. No matter how valid that wanting is, it is still tanha or craving. Okay, that's the second noble truth. The second noble truth is the cause of suffering, which is craving. And in all these cases, there is a lot of suffering involved. So Dhamma Dana is about dispensing Dhamma to lessen someone's suffering. But before you counsel others using Dhamma, you must first understand why the person is suffering, right? Which means you must have a good knowledge and understanding of the Buddha's teachings first. So knowing why the person is suffering is one thing. The other is knowing how to handle the situation. Okay, Dhamma Dana is not easy in such cases. Okay, I'll just mention 3 important things to bear in mind. Now, the first, we must practice right speech. What did the Buddha say that is right speech? First, it must be true. Please do not tell white lies even, okay, to make the person feel better. Second, you must speak at a proper time. If there is no opportunity to give counsel, then it is better to just keep quiet and just be there with the person. You can give the person a hug, hold the person's hands, offer a shoulder to cry on. That can be enough. Number 3, speech must be beneficial. 4th one, speech must be gentle. There are a lot of people say, but then, of course, when I console a person, I'll be gentle. Sometimes it's not that easy, especially when you keep talking and trying to talk some sense in the person and you can't get through to the person. Okay, that's when we start to feel frustrated or impatient. And the 5th one, the very important one, we must always counsel a person with loving kindness, with metta. Okay, so 2nd, practice Dhamma and benefit from it first. This is very, very important. If you don't practice Dhamma, please do not do Dhammadānam. Okay, because you have to practice so you can counsel with conviction, with the confidence, and you know the correct Dhamma concepts to use to give advice. Recipient must be receptive. If a person is suffering from depression, do not try to help unless the person sincerely wants out of it. Otherwise, you have to let a professional do the job. And also, we do not offer unsolicited Dhammadānam. No unsolicited advice. Okay, even the monks, they dispense Dhamma only when a person asks for it. Now, that is why you do not see Buddhist evangelists out there. When a person is ready for the Dhamma and sincerely wants it, he or she will seek a teacher for advice and instructions. So the gift of Dhamma transcends all gifts. The taste of truth surpasses all tastes. Delight in the truth exceeds all delights. Destruction of craving conquers all ills. How about saving a person's life? Shouldn't it be more noble than Dhammadānam? Actually, no. When we save a person's life, we help that person only in one lifetime. But when we do Dhammadānam, when we dispense the Buddha's teaching, and if it sinks in and the person takes it to heart and applies it, it will help him not only in this lifetime, it will also help him in subsequent lifetimes. And it is the passport to liberation, to end suffering once and for all. Okay, that is why Dhamma is the best gift. Now let's recap what we've learned about gifts. A gift can be material or immaterial. Anything useful, however small, can be a gift. It's the thoughts that counts, and it should be something given at a suitable time and place and for the right purpose. Okay, now we come to the last part, which is recipient. To whom should we give? The Buddha said this. I say that one acquires merit even if one throws away dishwashing water in a refuse dump or cesspool with the thought, may the living beings here sustain themselves with this. Okay, as we have seen in the previous slides, anyone can be a recipient. Apart from dana to monks and nuns, we give to the poor, the homeless, the destitute, and the sick. We also give to family members, friends, relatives, especially the aged. And in fact, anyone can benefit from what we offer. Now, this Yellow Ribbon project is for helping reformed offenders reintegrate into society. Animals especially need our generosity and care. And lastly, we can also give to our departed relatives, especially those in the Peta realm. They always need our help. So every time when we do good, which includes dana, we share merit with them. Now, what else can we learn from the suttas? Let's look at the Ayya Sutta, where the Buddha listed 5 benefits of wealth. First, he makes his parents, wife, children, slaves, and workers happy and pleased, and properly maintains them in happiness. We do that, don't we? Especially for our own family. Yeah. And we do the same for friends and companions. He makes provisions against the losses that might arise because of floods, kings or bandits or unloved heirs. He makes himself secure against them. He makes the 5 oblations, which are offerings to relatives, guests, ancestors, the king and the deities. He establishes an uplifting offering of alms, an offering that is heavenly, resulting in happiness, conducive to heaven to those ascetics and Brahmins who refrain from intoxication and heedlessness, who are settled in patience and mildness, who attain themselves, calm themselves, and train themselves for Nibbana. Now, intoxication here doesn't relate to alcohol. It is the intoxication with sense pleasures. Okay, now of the 5, this is what you saw earlier. These 4 are acts of giving. Now, of these 4 groups, there are 2 people here whom we often take for granted and never give enough. Do you know who they are? Parents. Okay. Parents are said to be Brahma and first teachers. Brahma was acknowledged as the highest god, okay, the creator god in Brahmanism, which was the prevalent religion at the time of the Buddha. Okay, they're worthy of offerings dedicated to the gods from their children, for they love their offspring. Therefore, an astute person, that means a wise person, would revere them and honor them with food and drink, clothes and bedding, anointing and bathing, and by washing their feet, because they look after their parents like this. They are praised in this life by the astute, and they depart to rejoice in heaven. I want to ask all of you now, you're very willingly Anjali, okay, that means you bow to the Buddha, the Dhamma, all the monks that come. Have you ever Anjali to your parents? Now, in another sutta, the Buddha said that if you carry your mother on one shoulder and your father on the other for the whole of your life, which he says about, he mentioned 100 years. Now, even if you attend to them, for example, massaging, bathing them, and then they urinate and they pass motion on you and you have to clean them up, you still would not have done enough to repay them. Now, we all know, right, from the Dhamma Bites on karma, that killing our parents is a weighty bad karma. The reverse is true. Looking after them well benefit ourselves much, much more than it benefits them. What is the best thing we can do for our parents? But bhikkhus, if when one's parents lacked faith, one encourages, settles, and establishes them in faith, okay, we do the same for virtuous behavior, generosity, wisdom. What are all these referring to? Dhamma. Okay, so when we teach them the Dhamma, we are doing our best for our parents. So next time, when a monk comes here, bring your parents along for dana and sit down after that. Listen to Dhamma. Can always share Dhamma with them whenever possible. That's the best you can do for your parents. Now, the other very important group of people to whom we should be generous to are the ascetics and Brahmins. The word Brahmin here does not refer to the Brahmin priests or the Indians in the highest social caste. Okay, who do they refer to? And how is the donation endowed with 6 factors? There is the case where there are 3 factors of donor, which we saw last week, and 3 factors of the recipients. Now, these are the people who possess the 3 factors of recipients. Okay, you don't have read. Now, we are referring to those leading the holy life. Now, in particular, the noble or enlightened Sangha, with the most merit to be obtained from Arahants who have totally eradicated greed, hatred, and delusion. The Buddha went on to say that with these 6 factors, the 3 of the donor and 3 of the recipients, incalculable and immeasurable merit is endowed on the giver. Now, exactly how much merit are we talking about? Now, let's look at this Dakina Vibhanga Sutta. Okay, this one gives in ascending order a list of recipients to whom gifts can be offered, and then we look at the merit that we create from it. Okay, now first, when we give to an animal, the offering may be expected to repay 100-fold. Okay, that means the quality of the gift times 100. That's how you get in terms of merit. Then for an ordinary person of poor moral habits, it's 1,000-fold. Now, a person outside the path refers to a person who is not enlightened or even close to enlightenment yet, but he actually practices Dharma, doesn't have any attachment to sense, able to let go. Now, this group includes the people who can exercise sense restraint well, and the merit is a lot more. Now, who is the Sotapaddi Magga? They are people who are on the path to stream entry, which is the first stage of enlightenment. These people possess the 5 faculties of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. And in the Buddha's words, they are bound for deliverance and headed for enlightenment. The enlightenment is more or less guaranteed already. Okay, the merit we get from giving to them is exponentially greater. Now, up to here, it is very clear that when we give, no matter who we give to, even if it is an animal or an immoral person, it benefits us much more than it benefits them. Okay, now let's go on and see. Having made a gift to one on the way to realize the fruition of stream enterer, the offering may be expected to repay incalculably, immeasurably. What then should be said about giving a gift to a stream enterer? So just now was a stream enterer going to be. Now is Sotapaddi Magga. Stream enterer here is a Sotapanna, they call it Pala. That means this person has already realized the first stage of enlightenment. So there is going to be even greater exponential increase in merit for offerings to a stream enterer. Same is exponential increase over exponential increase, a lot. Now, an Arahant is a person who is fully enlightened. The Buddha is an Arahant, but not all Arahants are Buddhas. And this sutta also included Pachika Buddhas. Pachika Buddhas are those who realize the truth on their own, but they do not know how to teach. Okay, Samma Sambuddha, Buddha Gautama is the Samma Sambuddha. That means they realize the truth on their own and they can dispense Dhamma. They know how to teach and bring others to enlightenment as well. So for us, the most we can hope to do Dana to are Arahants. So these 4 groups of enlightened persons, plus the ones who are on their way to realizing these 4 stages, 8 people in all, that's who we're referring to when we chanted the Sangha Vandana at the beginning of class. The whole group of them are known as Noble Sangha or Enlightened Sangha. And the Buddha therefore encouraged almsgiving to the noble Sangha because you get an incomparable fill of merit. Nothing compares to them. So when arahants are given gifts, their minds actually remained detached. They accept the gifts out of compassion for the giver. So to sum it all up, amount of merit gained varies according to three factors: the mental state of the donor, the type and quality of the gift, the spiritual quality of the recipient. Remember, we have to give whenever and wherever possible. Whoever needs our help, give, whether it's animal, immoral person. Okay, of course, an immoral person exercise some wisdom also. But to get the most out of a particular act of giving, it would mean we have to be happy before, during, and after giving. We give generously at the right time and for the right purpose. And we select the worthiest recipient available. This is to give in a smart way. So now that we have explored dana in detail, let's look at it again in relation to the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, the Noble Eightfold Path is portrayed here as a spider web because all the 8 factors are interdependent and interrelated. To begin with, the act of giving is founded on panya or wisdom. It is included in the definition of right view, and the suttas show us the right way of giving in respect to the giver, the gift, and the recipient. Sila or morality is about doing the right thing by way of speech, action, and livelihood. And we can say that the act of giving itself is right action, right? And practicing the 5 precepts is itself a form of dana, so it is part of our training in sila. Dana counters selfishness and greed. And cultivation of generosity through the act of giving helps in samadhi or concentration, okay, as we shall see in the next sutta. Bhante, how does a noble disciple who has arrived at the fruit and understood the teaching often dwell? Here, the Buddha's disciple, Mahanama, is asking about the stream entrance support for peace and calmness. Okay, and although the Buddha is referring to an enlightened disciple here, it can also apply to the unenlightened. And the Buddha listed 6 things that bring joy to the mind, leading to concentration, recollection of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, virtue, generosity, and deities. Okay, so remember here we're talking about generosity, chaga. That means we give and we have learned to give generously. When a noble disciple recollects his generosity, on that occasion his mind is not obsessed by lust, hatred, or delusion. On that occasion his mind is simply straight, being virtuous, based on generosity. Okay, a noble disciple whose mind is straight gains inspiration and meaning, gains inspiration and Dhamma, gains joy connected with the Dhamma. Okay, that means here the noble disciple gains joy and happiness in the practice, in the teaching, in connection to the teaching. And when his joyful rapture arises, for one with a rapturous mind, the body becomes tranquil. One tranquil in body feels pleasure. For one feeling pleasure, the mind becomes concentrated. Now, the recollection generosity gladdens the heart and is the cause for rapture to arise. Now, rapture is piti. Sukha, or the pleasure, is a very refined feeling of mental well-being. Okay, and vitaka, vichara just means sustained attention. When we have all 4, we attain samadhi, okay, which is a quality of mind that prepares us to see Dhamma. So it is obvious that generosity cultivated through acts of giving helps in the cultivation of samadhi as well. So when we perform acts of giving, we have panya or wisdom in our mind. We are practicing sila or morality, and we prepare ourselves for samadhi. Dana does not appear in its own right as one of the path factors because it functions in the Buddhist discipline in a different capacity. It serves as a basis and preparation which underlies and quietly supports the entire endeavor to free the mind from the defilements. Okay, now you see how important it is. It has a very close connection to the entire movement of the Buddha's teachings. It supports all the three divisions of the path from start to finish. Therefore, throughout our journey on the path, it is important to give, and we trained to give with true generosity. And there is so much merit to be gained from dana alone, as we have seen earlier. To top it off, feeding the Buddha and Sangha is more meritorious than feeding the Buddha alone. It is even more meritorious to construct a monastery for the general use of the Sangha of the four quarters of all times. True refuge, taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha is better still. Abiding by the 5 precepts is even more valuable. And better still is the cultivation of metta, loving kindness. And best of all, the insight into impermanence, which leads to nibbana. Now, while insight into impermanence is the best of all, there is no there's no shortcut to this stage of the practice. We have to start with giving, then we practice morality, then we practice concentration. Why concentration here? Because it's the most effective way of cultivating metta. And then, lastly, we have insight wisdom. So do you see the whole Noble Eightfold Path here? Okay. And this is a practice that doesn't stop in this lifetime. People who enjoyed giving in the past will continue to enjoy giving after taking a new birth. People who value maintaining virtue will continue to maintain their virtue after being born again. People who meditate a lot will continue to sit in meditation. And people who have contemplated impermanence, suffering, and not self in this life will continue in the same manner in the next life, without needing anyone to teach them, because it is already part of their character. So in conclusion, we start with dana, because giving counters selfishness and starts a journey that frees us from the egotism of mind, I, and self. We benefit from giving much more, okay, than our recipients. Because the merit we create from giving not only opens the door to our spiritual growth and development, it also provides the supporting conditions for our continuing practice on the Noble Eightfold Path towards unconditioned happiness. The merit we create from giving is therefore a gift to ourselves, a gift of the highest value. Okay, this is what we have for dana. The last part, we're going to look at one of the questions that we received as part of the over 40-something questions 2 to 3 years back. Now that you look at this question, I'm very sure you know the answer. You know much more than that. All religions teach us to give and to give generously. But I am confident that only in Buddhism do we get such comprehensive information and guidance on how to give. You agree? Yeah? Okay, finished.